So for me, the black and white version of this logo is quite beautiful and it works really well. But that's a testament to strong design. I think if your design can work well enough in black and white, then when you introduce color, it can look absolutely incredible. And sometimes that can allow you to fine tune the tone and positioning so that it really sits where your client will want it to. So I'm going to share with you my process for, first of all, finding color inspiration. And then I think it's really important to apply color in the right way. If I show you a sneak peek at some of my artboards below, I feel there's definitely a right and a wrong way to apply color. Sometimes you'll see color palettes suggested on Instagram, on Pinterest, but applied the wrong way, even the most beautiful color palette, it doesn't work. It doesn't speak well for the brand. And an understanding of a way you can employ and bring color together will really help elevate your design. So first, let's look at our inspiration. Now, I like to put together some very rough, you could call them mood boards if you like, with related imagery depending on the brand I'm working on. So for this example, because it's a brewery, we've got barrels, bits of the kind of oak and wood that would be used in the brewing process. Sometimes there's actually metal barrels used in that process. This is a fictional brand, so I've got a little bit more freedom there. We've got some imagery of beer actually being served and enjoyed. And then here I've got some imagery with hops, with wheat, with barley, the kind of grain that's used to produce it. And I've deliberately picked out imagery that shares kind of a common theme in terms of color. So as I'm looking for this imagery, I am deliberately looking to pull things out that fall within a certain kind of color palette. And while this won't work for every type of industry you work with, where it does work, I think it's really effective, and it can help you to pick colors that just resonate deeply with a brand you're working on. So because these are rough mood boards, I'll literally drag and drop some of these different elements. I'll shrink elements so that they have kind of less visual impact, and then I might enlarge other elements so that they take up more of a board, and I'll keep doing that until I come up with something like this, a few palettes that I'm happy with. So having arranged them quite roughly on the page, I drop these little almost swatch pins in. It's simply a circle with a white stroke on the outside, and if you, with one of these selected, hit the I key to bring up your eyedropper, you can click to grab the color you've sampled from any portion of the images on this page. Then I stroke them all at the end. So that's how I achieve that. And when I've got each of those pins selected and I'm happy with the way it's looking, I'll go up to my swatches panel, and if you click on create new color group, when you've got a selection like that made, you can actually create that color group from your selected artwork. And when you hit OK, there you get a nice neatly arranged folder with the colors you've sampled. And I use that just at the bottom here, obviously excluding the white that I use for the edge of a pin, to illustrate the proposed color palette. So it's as simple as that. I'll show you another example. This one I really like. So you can see I've not pulled any of the oaky kind of wooden brown tones. This one we've got a really fresh hoppy green, a darker olive green here, and then we're pulling on the kind of fresh modern metallic colors from the metal barrels here. So those are the palettes. How would you then use this in your artwork effectively? Well, if I take us across to our artboards here, I can show you. So just to first of all show you how this could be employed in the wrong way, if I take this here as an example, this is my palette, and let's say I tried to use the brown as the background color, and then I've used the green as the accent on top of it, and then maybe here I try to use the lighter shade of brown. It looks like a very muddy mess. There's not enough contrast. There's not a nice neutral background color. It really is possible to use a great color palette in the wrong way. So if I undo and we come out to the palette I've selected, you'll notice in this iteration I haven't actually used any of the brown tones yet. I really like the kind of crisp simplicity of this soft black together with an off-white and this really nice neutral green, which works equally well on a dark and a light background. Another iteration from that same palette. This time we've used the brown, and again we've got a neutral off-white and a dark background. So it could be that either version is acceptable. It could be that perhaps that's the overall brand color palette, what you're seeing on the screen now, but on the logo itself it's one or the other of the accent colors, perhaps not the two of them together. And this is why it can be so hard to work on brand identity if you focus only on the logo design. The brand identity as a whole is part of a much bigger picture where you might have brochures, websites, lots of collateral, where you need quite a broad, diverse color palette. But in the logo itself, if you try to use every color from the color palette, you can really spoil the look and feel. I'll zoom out and we'll go across to show another example. So this was using the other palette I put together, and this one I really like. It's got such a fresh modern feel to it. This is quite a cool slate grey. It's almost a cross between a navy blue and a slate grey tone, and it really works nicely against this green. And I've just used that green sparingly to make the focal points pop. I've treated the same element, so that kind of lends itself to the consistency of a brand, and you've got a version that can work equally well on a light or a dark background. So I really liked that, and a different way you could implement this. I'm not as keen on this version, but this feels far more almost organic, natural, healthy. And you can do something like this if there's sufficient contrast. This is almost a monochrome effect where you've got the lighter green and then the darker green behind. If I select these and just edit that color to be a little brighter, you can see that works a bit better practically. So if I went for something along these lines, I'd probably have to brighten up the lighter green just so there's sufficient contrast. And of course you don't have to use any color. You might want to create a version that simply uses off-whites and soft blacks, which for luxury brands is certainly a possibility. And when we look in the next lesson at the mock-ups we create, when we look at this brand actually living and breathing in the real world, you notice there are many uses where color won't come into it. The logo might be engraved or stamped or foiled. So while we certainly might want to use a strong color palette to enhance the brand and to aid in brand recognition, the core of it needs to be strong enough that it could work without any color at all. And that was why we began this process working on this in black and white. So have some fun. Try to use either my technique or your own techniques to source some color inspiration, and put some palettes together, and then try to use them in a balanced, sparing way. If you have 4 or 5 colors in a palette, you don't have to use every one of them. Perhaps just 2 or 3 would be more than enough to give you some nice balanced options. So have some fun adding color to your own work, and then join me in the next lesson where we'll really breathe life into this by creating some mock-ups together.